Michael Marks, and I'm the co-founder of Perennial Software, and we're the developers of AlarmBiller. So, again, if you have any questions, feel free to fill those out at any time, and we'll try to answer those as we go or when we come back at the end. Okay, so the first thing we want to show you, and these are all new features that have been recently released. And again, if you have questions about something that already exists, go ahead and add that to the question list, and we can, if we have time at the end, we'll go ahead and do that. But then one of the first things you'll notice is on the top toolbar, we have this new search list. And this is a quick search list, which gives you the ability to search for customer sites, systems, an invoices, credits, or a payment. So the payment's real nice in case a customer calls and says they wrote a check to you. Maybe you accidentally posted to the wrong account, you put that check number in, and it's a way to easily find that. Now, another way to get to this field, so if I come up here to customers now, and I start typing in, and I'm just going to type in, we'll go to Michael Marks, you notice is that as I type in any field, it will look for that customer, and it looks for any match within there. So I have MIC, and there's MIC in the name. And then if I just click on Michael Marks, you'll notice it will open up that customer and goes directly to the customer in AlarmBiller. Now, I'm currently running this on a Mac, and I'll tell you about the Mac and the Windows options. But if on my Mac, I click the Option key and the space bar, you'll notice the cursor went right up here. So at any point, if I wanted to do a quick search without having to move my mouse and click here, I just click the Option space bar if you're using a Mac. If you're using a Windows computer, it's the Control key and a space bar. So you could click Control space bar for Windows, Option space bar for a Mac, and takes you right to here. If I was looking for a specific invoice, again, I could just come over here and I could type in the invoice number or the customer. And if I just start typing it in here, the invoice number, you notice if I just start doing this, it's going to give me the matches of anyone that meets that invoice number. And there you go. And there's the one. Again, if I click on it, and what it will do is it will open up that invoice. Because we chose invoice, it went directly to the invoice to look at it. Okay, so that's a real nice feature to really help you find any data within any customer or data as a real quick search. And that's what we call our new quick search features. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is parts. We added some new features to the parts. So I'm going to come over here to the setup, and we're going to click on our parts. And you'll notice in the parts grid now, we have 3 new categories that you can add to it: a manufacturer, a category, and a subcategory. They are not required. They're all optional, but you can add these. Now, before I go into the parts, let me jump back into the setup. And real quick, you'll see there's a manufacturer's setup. So I could come over here, and this is where you would set all your manufacturers up: Honeywell, Bosch, NAPCO, all the different manufacturers. And to create a new manufacturer, you just come over here. I say new manufacturer. I'll type in NAPCO. I'll click Save. And now I created a new manufacturer. The other thing we added was the categories. And if I come over here, you'll notice there's categories both for items and parts. So now I'm looking at my parts categories. Now, you can create categories in any way you want. I happen to do it in my database. I created the main category. For example, I have one called burglar alarm equipment. And then for burglar alarm equipment, I created subcategories called control panels, keypads, motion sensors. Here I have access control equipment. I haven't created any subcategories. If I want to create a subcategory, I just click the new subcategory, and I'm going to say access control. So maybe I'll create one called door strikes, and then click the Save button. And let's create another one, and we'll call this one card readers. Okay. Okay, so that's just a way that you could quickly create your categories and your subcategories. Now, when you're inside of a part, so let's go back into a part here, and I'm just going to pick this motion sensor right here. This is just a test part I have in my database. I'm going to click on the edit mode, and here I could assign to it its manufacturer. So let's just say it was NAPCO. I could say its category, it's burglar alarm equipment, and it's subcategory, motion sensor. Now, why is that important? The reason why that's important is later on when we're actually adding parts within a work order or within a customer record, within their site or system, you can actually you can sort and select based upon those categories. So it just gives you a nice, easier way to look at everything within the system. The other thing that you'll notice within the parts is this document, this tab all the way to the right, which says Documents. And you'll notice if it says 0 in there, that's telling me that no documents currently exist for that part. So if you wanted to add a document, you just come over here and you click on it. And here I can upload a file. And what this is doing is it would be adding a document to that actual part. Now what's really nice about that, if you add a document to a part, anywhere you use that part, that document now will be available, whether it's in a work order or within the customer's site or system, so you could see what those documents are. So that's the ability to add documents also to the part. So part has a lot of new features with the manufacturer, the category, the subcategory, as well as the documents. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing, and that is documents itself. And what I'm going to do here is let's go back into a customer. So I'm just going to pick that customer, Michael Marks. And what we've done is we've added documents throughout a customer now. Not only the customer, but we added to the work orders, to the proposals, and it's all throughout the application. So if you notice when I'm in the customer and I look at the Docs tab, it says 4 right there. That means this customer has 4 documents currently attached to them. So these are just 4 miscellaneous documents that I've added to my customer record. If I wanted to add a new one, I just come over here and I click Upload File, and I will pick whichever document that I want from my list of documents. I could give it a description, and you could choose from your document type tab and pick what it is. I'm just going to say Other. And then you could say, is this an internal or is this a customer document? So you'll notice the default will always be internal. Internal means this document is not available for the customer's view. If I say customer, that means the customer now can also see this document. When would they see this document? They would see this, like, for example, if they logged into the customer web portal, they can see this document. Now that's also nice for work orders. You have the same options to make a document either internal or external. Because maybe you did a report and you want the customer to see it, you make it a customer level one. If it's only for your eyes, you make it internal. Okay. Now you'll notice this is a little bit different. You'll see a Save Changes and a Cancel Changes within this tab. That's because I'm really not in an edit mode on this whole screen. But because I made the changes here, we have to tell the system to save it. So if I click Save Changes here, now it permanently saved that change to the database. So you do need to click that if you make a change to this, okay? So for example, if I wanted to delete this document, this right here, I'll click on Delete, and you notice it's deleted, but if I don't want to really delete it, I could click Cancel, and it brings it right back up there. So where else can we put documents into it? So let's take a look at a work order here. So I have a lot of work orders on this customer, but let's go ahead and click on any one of these work orders. And you'll notice on the work order tab now, we have documents. And I can add documents over here by clicking Upload Files. And again, I could pick any one of these documents, and I can now just put a description in here. I could give it a type, and we'll say this is just a picture. And again, if it's internal or this is available for the customer to see. And if I want to save it, I click Save Changes. Now, you'll also notice there's another feature besides the uploading of a file. There's something called attachments. So I'm going to leave this work order open in this tab. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go back to the setup, and I'm going to talk about attachments for just a quick moment. So what are attachments? Attachments are predefined documents that you have added to your database that you want to add either to a work order or to a proposal, as I'll show you in just a moment. So here is one that's called October letter. And if I click on the edit, if I want to see what the documents are within there, you click this upload button, and this is where you'll see all of the documents that are part of that attachment. And what's neat about that is you can have one or more documents inside of an attachment. So if I wanted to add a new file to this, I just come over here and I'll pick the file I want. And again, I could give it a description. I give it a type if I want to. I click save. So now, if I look at it, this one attachment, if I add it, has these two files. So, which makes those both available. So if I go back over here to my work order now, and I say add attachments, I can choose from those attachments that I already have in the database. So I can say choose this attachment and click add. So what it did is it automatically added these two files, documents, and you notice that these are uploaded ones, these are attachments into this document. Now, these are customer viewable because that's how we set those up. If I didn't want them to be customer, I could change that when I set up the document originally, so the customer would be able to see these. If I didn't want them to see it, again, I just make it what's called an internal document. Now, if I didn't want, for some reason, the customer to see this one document, I could click the delete button and delete that and remove that one from here. So it makes it real easy to manage your uploaded files and your documents from here. Now, not only do I have the ability to do that in the work orders, but let's click on a proposal. And you notice what it did here is I didn't click save or cancel my changes. The system knew we made some changes, so it's giving me a warning message. You know, you have pending document changes. That still, do I want to stay on the page to do that? If I click leave the page, it would leave it, and it won't make the save then. Okay, so here are some of proposals, and I won't go through the proposals in detail right now, but you'll notice on a proposal, I have the same ability to either add documents and upload files, or I have the ability to add attachments. So from a proposal, attachments could be really nice because they could be like a cut sheet on the company, talking all about your alarm company. They could be a warranty document, a service level document, your monitoring station. And so you can have like an attachment kit that has 5 documents, and those will automatically be sent with that proposal to the customer. Or if the customer looks at that proposal online, they'll be able to see it. So great features with the documents added. One other place I just want to show you. Let's go into a site and a system. So here I'm at the burglar alarm system for this customer, and you notice I can actually have documents over here. So you could put documents at the what's called the system level, as well as if I click on the site, you could put it at the site level. So you'll notice documents now can be put at the customer level, the site level, the system level, on work orders, on proposals, and on parts. So all different kinds of places. Remember, the maximum size file for any upload is 5 megabytes, and there's really unlimited storage, so you can add as many documents as you want to the system. So the documents really become your electronic filing cabinet. So we encourage you to use that. It's a real nice place to put any kind of correspondence and document. Now, I can't demonstrate it on my computer, but if I was, let's just go into this work order for one moment, and if I was actually on an iPad in the field working on this, and I was the technician, and I click on the docs and I click upload, it's going to say, do I want to attach a file or use my camera? And right from the field, the technician can actually use their camera, take a picture of anything, and it will automatically add that as a document. So this is a great way to document the work that's been done in the field, both for service calls and installations. You know, have the technician take a picture of the control panel, you know, that's all wired up. You know, if there's anything that, maybe there's a questionable thing regarding, damage, you know, and they want to look at that, they could go ahead and take a picture of that real quick and document that right into the work order. And again, they can make the image either internal or they can make it external, depending on how they want to, if they don't want the customer to be able to see that. Okay, so let me move on to another feature. Again, if you have any questions, please go ahead and fill those out on the questions as we're going along here, and I'll get back to those as soon as I can. The next feature I want to talk about is a report. And what we did is we changed the aging report. And this is really, really powerful. You'll notice now when you run the aging report, it first will default to the date that you run it. So when I run it, it's running an aging report as of today, June 23rd. But maybe I don't want to run the report as of today. I want to know what my aging was as of the end of the last month. So now if I do it as of 5/31, it's going to change the report. I'm going to say run report, and it's now going to give me my aging report as the data looked on May 31st. Now, if I want to see more on the screen, I just click this filter button, and it will remove the filter bar, and I'll see the whole report here. And I can see this is a 2-page report, so let's go to the second page. So this is my aging as of May 31st. So any invoices created after May 31st would not be on this report. Likewise, any payments received after May 31st wouldn't be reflected. So this would actually show you the aging as it was at the end of the day on May 31st. Okay, so that's a nice feature. And you could go back and run this report for any date in any period of time. So let's go back in and run it for today, which is the 23rd. But maybe what I also want to do is I want to sort it based upon my customer's net due in a descending order. So what this will do is it will run it based upon who owes the most money. So this is real nice just to be able to take a quick look up, based upon how much money is owed and look at it from that point of view. I can also run it by customer number or customer name. So that's a real nice feature that was added is the aging report and being able to choose the as of date when you run that report. Okay, so let's move on. So another nice feature that was added, we had a lot of requests for this, and this has to do with the ability to auto-apply payments. So let's click on the Payments tab here. And if I click on Unapplied Payments, these are all the customers that I currently have that have an unapplied payment. And you can see this is the amount that's unapplied, so $499.09. It also tells me how much money the customer currently owes. So this customer owes $191.82. Now, if I expand this, I can actually see this customer has 2 unapplied payments, one for $399 and one for $100. If I come down to this customer, I could see they have 2 also, and so on. And I can look at the details for any one of those customers. Now, let's say that I want to go ahead and I want to automatically apply all my unapplied cash to any open balance dues. What I can do is I can just click Select All, and you notice it selected every one of them. But for some reason, I don't want to do it for this one customer, so I'm going to unselect this customer. So I'll do it for everyone except them. And then all I do is I click on Auto Apply Selected Payments. And then this will do is it will automatically apply the payments up to the amount that the customer owes. So if you notice, we'll look at Acme flags here for just a moment. So let's go ahead and apply this auto apply. It says, are you sure you want to do it? I click OK. So it's now going to go ahead and auto apply these payments for me. And it gives me a list of all the ones that it did. So I got this big list up here. Let's go ahead and just minimize that. And you notice, let's go ahead now and drill into our customer Acme Flags. Okay, and you'll notice now they have no open invoices, and their unapplied cash is now down to 307. That's because we just applied that. And if I wanted to see the details of that, I'm not exactly sure which invoice it was, but it was one of these invoices. Maybe it was this one. Let's just guess. And I look at payments applied. Yep, sure enough, there it is. I could see that we applied this payment at this time. So it automatically applied that. If I want to unapply it, I could choose the unapply right here, and it would unapply that. So that's a real nice feature. So now if I go back into my payments, click on unapplied, you'll notice Acme Flags has no more balance due. So that's a real nice way to do an automatic applying of the unapplied cash. Now, if you don't remember, we also had the same feature. It's not new. We introduced it a while back, but under the credits and under our credits, we have the ability to do the same thing. So these are all the customers that have open credits, and I only have one. But again, I could select all or select any one individual and do the auto apply, and it would automatically apply the available credit to any open invoices. So again, probably a nice thing to do before you process statements and send those out to the customers is to apply anything that you want to. Now, because I said statements, let's talk about statements for a moment. We added a new feature to statements, so let's go into the report section and say, let's go ahead and print customer statements. And what's going to happen is we do our selection criteria. Do we charge late fees on these statements? I'm going to say yes. It's 18% interest. Do I want to include unapplied cash and credits on the statement? If I say include them, then when it prints the statements, if the customer has any unapplied cash or credits, it will show that. If I turn that off, it just won't show those unapplied cash or credits. When I run the statements, the customer must have a minimum balance. I wrote $10 here. So if they don't owe at least $10, they won't show up. The minimum days past due, they have to be at least 30 days past due on an invoice. So as long as any one invoice they have open is 30 days or more, they'll create a statement for them. My minimum late days, that has to do for my late charges is 30 days. So I will start calculating late fees once the invoice is 30 days or over. And the minimum late fee amount is $5. That means if the late fee is calculated 18%, but it comes down to $1.50, it's going to automatically bump it to $5 minimum. If I didn't want to do that, I could just make it 0 and then would use whatever that's there. Okay? There's my statement message that I want to appear on every statement. So here I'm going to choose Generate Preview, and this is going to go ahead and create my preview of all the statements that it's going to get. And you notice it's going to get 40 statements. So these are the customers that I'm scrolling through. And then what I do is, let me just do this one more time. When I do is when I print my statements, again, I could do select all, and this will get all the customers that I want to create statements for, or I could individually turn customers on and off. So maybe I don't want these customers to get a statement. And it will only, if I say print and deliver, it will automatically print or email or mail those statements based upon the customer's setting of what they're set to. And so you can now pick and choose which customers get the statement. So this has been asked quite a bit by our customers on how to do that. Now, let me just go into this customer right over here. I'm going to pick this customer and drill into them. So, and I'm going to click Edit. Just as a reminder, because this question comes up often. So let's say you have a customer, and here we have one, it's a commercial account, and this customer says, I don't want them to ever receive a statement. Then you just choose this option here on their customer setup called No Statement. If you choose that, that prevents statements from generating for this customer. And that means anytime we go ahead and we run statements, this customer will automatically get skipped. They'll never get a statement through that process. Now I can individually create a statement from their customer record, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But I can't, when I do the global statements, it will always skip that. The other thing is the no late fee. And the no late fee is the ability to prevent late fees from accruing for this customer. And so if I have an account that I know it gets them upset, they don't want to see late fees, I just turn that off, and now they'll never get a late fee. And all the other customers that have this set to receive a late fee will get one. The other thing you can do, and this has been added recently also, is the ability to do what's called a reset the late fee for a customer. So if you go to a customer in the top right, it shows that there's a late fee, but you want to reset that for them so it doesn't flag it anymore. You can always go into edit the customer and reset their late fee for them. Okay? So at this point, if I click save to prevent this customer from receiving a statement, so now let's go back in and rerun our statement. So I'm going to go ahead and say generate preview. You'll notice that customer, All Things Insurance, is no longer on our list because it automatically bypassed them. And you notice before we had 40 customers, now we have 39. So that's a nice way to do that. And remember, the delivery method is based upon whatever's set up for that customer for their delivery of their statement. Okay, so that is the statement. So let's go back into that customer. Let me just pull up that customer All Things real quick here. So there they are. So I'll pick them. So if I'm just talking to this one customer and I wanted to generate a statement just for them, right from here, right from underneath the Invoice tab, I can just say generate statement. And then I could say, how do I want to deliver it? Mail, and again, we'll mail it on your behalf for you. There is a fee that does apply. We can email it just by clicking email, or I could just manually print it. And if I click print, it's just going to manually print it, and then I could print it myself right here. So that's just a way to create a quick statement for a customer. Just like, don't forget, and within any customer, if I'm looking at an invoice, so let me just drill into this invoice for this customer, and I could click on the redeliver button here, and I could say, do I want to preview it, do I want to print it, or do I want to redeliver it? So redeliver will go to mail or email, or I could say print it, or I could say preview. And that would just open it up so I could preview it locally. Okay, so that's the customer. And just to point out again, if there was a late fee, you would see it right here. This customer doesn't have a late fee, so I don't see that right here. Okay, so that's our statement preview. All right, so let's go to, got two more things that I want to show you, and then we're going to jump into some questions. And let's just go to the RMR credits. I'm sorry, the customer grid. So I'm going to click on the customers here. And this was released about 3 or 4 releases ago, but it's just nice to point out again. This grid is customizable. So that's the fields that you see here in the order in which you see them. So this right here, if I click on available columns, this is going to show me all the columns that are currently selected for this grid. Now, we have just recently added 2 new fields to this. We added what's called the next invoice date, and we added the auto pay feature. So let me just go ahead and put those 2 on here, and I'm going to click X to close this box. So the next invoice date will tell you the next date that this customer is scheduled to receive a recurring invoice. That's their next invoice date. So this customer will get their next, this ABC Liquor will get their next recurring on 10/1. This All Things Insurance is scheduled for August 1st. Now in my database here, I've already done my July recurring, okay? So if I click on, if I want to look at this and I click on this customer here, All Things Insurance, and I click on the RMR, you'll notice they have two different recurrings, one that's set for August 1st and one that's set for October 1st. Because the most recent one to get it is August 1st, let's just go back over here to my grid, and there it is. There's my next invoice date. It's August 1st for that customer. Okay? Now, auto pay, false and true. If it's true, that means this customer is set up for auto pay. And they're going to get a, that means when we do the recurring, they have a credit card or an e-check that's on file to use to pay for their recurring. So again, this is really nice here. What I can do is I can just sort this column just by clicking the sort button. So there's all the false ones, and I can just page down through there and see these are the customers that are not going to get an auto recurring. And then if I come over here down to the bottom, and I'll start getting to my true ones here just in a moment, there's all my true ones. And these are the customers that are going to set to 1. So that's a nice way to look at that. Okay? Now you notice anyone next invoice date is blank. You notice their total RMR is 0. That's because they don't have a next invoice date because there's no recurring revenue for that customer. So now, what's also nice about this feature is you can take these columns that you have here, these layouts, and you might create multiple views. So you don't have to save them over and over. You could click Layout Options here, and I'm going to give this layout a name. I'm going to call this one my next invoice view, okay? And I'm going to click Save Layout, okay? Now, I'm going to close that. So let's come out of this view now. I'm going to just come out of here and then go back into it. You'll notice what it does is it's going to load back to my default view. So my next invoice date is not there anymore. So I'm going to click Layout. I'm going to choose which view I want, and I'm going to say choose the next invoice view and say Load Layout. And now it's going to automatically load that layout. Now, let's say I wanted to make this my default view. So every time I open up this tab, I want this view to automatically open up. What you do to do that then is you take this, and I'm going to give this a new name of the name default. So I'm just going to call this default. Click Save Layout. Now, because its name is default, anytime I go in and I reload this page, it's going to use that view because that's my default view. So that's a nice way to be able to do that. Now, the last thing that's really neat about this customer grid is anything you see here, all these fields that you've selected, if I click Export to Excel, it's going to export this grid and all the customer records within there, and it's going to export them right into Excel, just the way you see right here, whichever fields you see here. So, for example, if I also wanted to know their email address, their salesperson, the type of customer, and their zip code. So now I just added a lot of data to here. I can now click Export, and all of this data gets exported. You can also take your fields and you could change the orders of these. And again, if you save it that way, that's going to do. But when I export it, it's going to export it within the same field list that you have here. Now, another thing you can do here is you could take any one of these fields and drag it right to here and do a subsort. So maybe I want to take my salesperson field, drag it here, and now I'm looking at my customers by salesperson. So here's all my customers that Michael Marks is assigned as a salesperson. And then I could see here's the ones that Brad's assigned to it. Okay, and I could just go through this page by page to see who else I have available to it. Here's, Pete Williams. So again, it's a nice way to be able to do that. If I want to just remove it from the top, I just click X, and now it will bring and just go back to my normal sort. So it's really powerful when you play around with this, what you can do with this customer view and how you want to look at that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just come back over here, and I'm going to reload my default layout. and there. Now, the other thing is, if I click master accounts, if you're using master accounts, this will show you just your master accounts. I don't have any in my database in this one. I can also come over here and look at just my prospects, as well as if I just want to look at my terminated customers. I just don't have any for all of those. Okay? So just different ways to look at everything through the views. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you and talk about is a new feature we added, and that is being able to do a negative RMR. So when you have a customer, if the RMR, it used to be all the recurring items had to total in a positive manner. Otherwise, we couldn't create an invoice for them. Now, if for some reason the RMR, because you could create negative recurrings, and they're negative, when you generate that recurring item for them, it will automatically, instead of creating the invoice for them, it will create that as a credit. So that's a real neat feature for that. Now, if you also notice this customer, when I opened it up, they have a critical message. So what is that? What that really is, it's a note. So what you can do is you can take any note that you want, and here's a note that I created for this customer called critical message. And let's just go ahead and edit this note and say, and I'm going to make this and say, this is a VIP customer. And by doing this, I can say, is this a standard or critical? If it's critical, it will automatically display as a notification whenever you open up that customer. I can also say, when does that expire? Maybe I only want to show that message through the end of this month. So at the end of this month, I'll no longer show it as a critical message. So what's nice now, I'm just going to click on refresh to refresh this page, and you'll notice this is a VIP customer, and this notice will expire on 6/30/2015. Okay. If I don't put in a expiration date, so if I just remove this, you'll notice now it just doesn't expire. It just shows that forever. So that's a nice way to put in any kind of notice that you want to automatically appear anytime you open up a customer. That's been in the system for quite a bit now. It's not brand new, but always nice to point out things in case it's overlooked. So that's all I had for today. Let's see if there's any questions here. I got a few. How would you delete a late fee generated from a statement if the dealer agreed that the customer only had to pay open invoices? Great question. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see if this customer, Michael Marks, has any late fees. And they have no open invoices. Let's go back to our customers here. And let's find a customer that owes a lot of money. So this one right here. Okay. So here's a customer. And let's just make sure they're set up for late fees. And you notice it's set to no late fees. So we're going to turn that off so that now they'll get late fees. So I'm going to click Save. And what we're going to do is I'm going to say Generate Statement. I'm just going to tell it to email it. Okay, so you'll notice now the statement's been emailed. But now when I look at the customer record, it automatically added a late fee, $279.02. So when the customer gets that statement, they're going to see that they owe the balance due plus the $279.02. Now, remember, we don't treat that as income unless you receive the money. And I'm going to talk about receiving the money in just a moment. But if the customer calls up and says, oh, listen, I'll pay you, but I don't want to pay this, and you tell the customer, just pay me the money that you owe me, and I'll make the late fee go away. You can do is, again, if I want to make it go away right now, I could edit the customer, and I could take that $279.02, and I can make it $0. So I'll just make it 0 and click Save. Now their late fee is gone. I'm going to go back into this customer and I forget the exact amount. I'm just going to say 279 and click save. So I put it back on their account. Okay? So that's one way to get rid of it. Now, let's say that this customer pays us and they write a check and we want to record this 279 into late fee and do that. That you're going to do when you do your payment processing. So let's go into payments here. And I'm just going to choose this existing, let's create a new deposit. And I'll put in the deposit total of the total amount of checks we received. Oops. And click update here. And let's go ahead and enter in a payment. And I always forget, what was that customer number? 104. What was that customer number I was just in? I'm so bad at this. Let's go back over here to customers and find them real quick. That was 1035. I was close. Okay, so we'll go back to our things. And let's just go back. We're going to say new payment. We'll pick our customer, 1035. Okay, and you'll notice we're going to put in that we got a check from them, and I'm going to say the check was for $3,000 and put the check number in. When I click save, it's going to bring up the customer. What did I do wrong? Unable to add payment. Let's cancel this. Okay, let's go back in here. Let's try this again. We're going to click new payment. We'll pick our customer, 1035. We'll put in a check, $3,000. We'll click save. Okay, so here is the payment that we received from this customer. Now, there's all the open invoices they had. Okay, now, if we want to apply some of the money directly to the late fee, I could type that amount in right here. So if I say 279, it will automatically apply the 279 to this late fee and record this as income because we received it. So you notice my balance of my payment to apply is $2,721. And now I could pick which invoices I want to apply it to. You know, and I could say apply it to this one, and until I use up all my money. Now, let's say I didn't want to do that. Another option I could have done here, let's make this back to 0, okay? You can choose apply full payment. If you choose apply full payment, what the system is going to do for you automatically, it's going to take this $3,000. It's going to apply it to all the open invoices first. Well, this customer has $2,592.87 in open invoices. So we will apply it to all of these. Then it's going to take any remaining money and apply it to the late fee up until the amount of money it has. So if it has $279 available, it will use all of that. Then any excess money will be just left in unapplied cash. So let's go ahead and do that for this customer. I'm just going to say apply full payment because that's the easiest thing to do, okay? And you'll notice what it did is it applied everything, and then I have $128.13 as unapplied, as unapplied payment. So let's just go into this customer's account now and just look at their customer, and we could see they have no open invoices. Their late fee is now gone because it's been fully paid. And what the system did, because it used that payment, oops, I want to do this. If I click on the show all invoices, and let's just do it by date, I'm going to get the most current. You'll notice right there what it did today, when it actually paid that late fee, it automatically created an invoice for that late fee, and then it automatically applied that payment to it. So the system will automatically create that. And in your setup, you actually choose what item code you want it to go to. And I created one in my database called late fee. So it's a great way to collect your late fees. So you could either manually apply them or automatically apply them. Now, If I go back into payments and choose my payment option here, and you're doing a batch payment, and you select a customer, it will follow those same rules for that customer when you put the amount in. It will either apply the amount to the oldest invoices first, then the late fees, and then to leave it as unapplied cash, unless you put in an invoice number. If that's the case, then it will apply it to this invoice number, and anything left will just go to unapplied cash. Okay, so that's how the late fees work in the cleaning those out. Okay, there's one other question that came in. It has to do with statements. I'm going to have whoever answered that. I'm going to have our support give you a call on that. I'm not exactly sure the answer that's going on with that, so I will have someone contact you. Okay, so that's it for our presentation today. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I want to thank you for attending. And remember, if you have any questions, please always submit those to our support center. And again, thank you so much. Have a great day, and look forward to you joining us on our next webinar. Thanks.